Hello, this is Patrick from Interstellar Mage Gaming, and I'm doing something new this episode. I'm gonna teach you guys how to play Pathfinder. I found this fillable character sheet online, so I'm gonna find the we'll post the link in the description after the video. Today we're gonna be focusing just on the first chapter of the character handbook, which focuses just on this area right here. So I'm gonna zoom in. Just the ability scores points. So basically I'm going to go over all 6 ability scores and then determine how to make them. So to start off, we're going to start with strength. That's your physical strength, your physique, your muscle mass, basically how much you can lift, carry, or drag. In the game, it applies to your melee accuracy, how much damage you do in melee attacks and thrown weapons, and basically use it to bust down doors. I forgot to mention, there's a score and a modifier. The score just all it does is determine your modifier, and the modifier is what you use to calculate things. So next we're going to talk about dexterity. Dexterity applies to your range accuracy. So basically, if you're throwing like a dagger or something, you use your dexterity to determine the hit, and your strength to determine the damage. It applies to your armor. Your armor rating. However, some armors will inhibit how much the bonus you can put into it. It also determines where this thing right here, initiative, which is where your turn order, and it also has a saving throw called reflex. Basically, you roll that whenever. Basically, is when the floor is collapsing, trying to get out of the way, or there's an explosion. That's what dexterity deals with. And pretty much all of the skills has its own things, except for the next one, Constitution. It's basically, your Constitution is your health and your stamina. However, just because it has no skills does not mean it's a needed stat. It's actually probably the most versatile of all of them. Because the con modifier gets added to your total hit points. So the higher it is, the more hit points you have. It also applies to your fortitude save, which is effectively just the save to avoid being poisoned or getting a disease. So let's go on to, that's their physical stats done. Let's go through the intelligence score. Basically, it's the character's ability to learn and reason. So basically, the higher, if you get a bonus in intelligence, the number of bonuses, you get additional language for each bonus you start with. And pretty much every character is able to speak and read those languages. So that's handy. But you always get the minimum you get. It determines you add or subtract the bonus or penalty to your skill ranks per level. So the number of skills you get. It cannot drop below 1, but it is something that you're going to want to think of. And this is the requirement for the wizard spells. For all the wizard spells. So basically, the higher the intelligence score and modifier, the more spells you can cast per day, and the harder they are to resist. Let's go to wisdom next. Your wisdom is your willpower, common sense, awareness, and intuition. It has a save to it, which is basically called a will save. Basically, it's used to resist mental manipulation or most illusion spells. So basically, it's just using your willpower ultimately. And it's used for the cleric and druid spell lists, just like a wizard is. Same kind of rules apply to things, to the wisdom. Next is your charisma. Charisma is your personality, personal magnetism, the ability to lead, and appearance. Just so you know, appearance is only one of 4 of this category. So you don't have to have a great appearance to have a high charisma. You can focus it entirely on personal magnetism. So this ability is used for the checks to influence others. There's quite a bit of specific skills to do specific things, but we'll talk about that in skills. A cleric's channeling energy, or using your faith to harm the undead, is based on your charisma, or how difficult they are to resist that is based off your charisma. And the bard, sorcerer, and paladin spells are based on the charisma score. So same rules. Oh, and just so you know, for casting, you have to have a base ability score of 10 plus the level of the spell. So in order to cast all wizard spells, you'd have to have a 19 intelligence when you cast it. So let's go over how to determine. I went on this is called the D20 Path PSRD.com. It basically has most of the rules you could find. So I'm gonna use their ability score calculator. I'll put the link to this website in the description. So I'm gonna do a 20-point buy. So I'm not choosing a race because that will modify your ability scores, and I'm gonna do that next episode. So let's see. Dex. I'll bring Dex up to 16, so that's 10 of my points. Hmm. 14, so that's basically the bonus if I don't take a... Excuse me, I don't take a penalty of something. I'm sorry. However, let's take a -1 penalty in my strength score. So I get a 12 here. However, I can only go up to a 15 here. However, I'm going to increase my wisdom to 1. So that means I have an 8 charisma, 8 strength, which is a penalty of 1. A 16 dexterity, which is a bonus of 3. A 10 constitution, which is just a plain 0. A 14 intelligence, which is a +2 bonus. +2 bonus. A 12 wisdom, which is a +1 bonus. And a 14 charisma, which is a +2 bonus. So effectively, that's what how to determine it through point buy. You could also do this other ways too. Like, I'll just show you another quick trick right now. I'm going to reset the scores. Let's say if you're doing like a pure caster or something, and you want to get, let's say, I want to get the intelligence high as possible. The highest I can get it is 18. So that's 118 and all thens, but I still have 3 points left. So that's my 3 points. But let's say if I don't want to include strength in this character, I can drop down to 7 to get 7 points back. So that way I can increase this to 4 and increase that to 2. So there is many things you can do with point buy. This is what I'm going to use right now. And I'd like to thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll watch next time. See ya! Bye!